So I want to bring in Jeremy Boring on this. He's the COO of Forward Publishing and the Daily Wire and executive producer of Ben Shapiro, and quite a brilliant mind on the digital space and how things are working now. Jeremy, I want to start with this from Media Matters, the secret meeting that happened with Media Matters and their strategic plan, and ask you what you think. What your initial thoughts are just on this. Quote, Media Matters has already secured access to raw data from Facebook, Twitter, and other social media sites. We have also put in place the technology necessary to automatically mine white nationalist message boards and alt-right communities for our archive. What are your thoughts just on that paragraph? Do you have access to all that information from Twitter and Facebook? Because I don't.
No, of course not. Of course not. And I feel like Cambridge Analytica is under fire for using actual techniques afforded them by Facebook to arrive at some of those same data sets. So, this is a pretty classic example of the left not being happy when the right does the same things that they're doing. Although, for players like you and I, for people who are actual doing journalism out here, we don't have that kind of information from Facebook.
No,
of course not.
Of course not. They are now inside. It became clear from the conversations that Facebook needed our help. We have information and insight that they didn't have that was helpful in educating them on the full scope of the problem. Jeremy, how do you guys, how does Prager, how do I survive if you have Media Matters guiding Facebook and Twitter and Google on who to suppress and who not to?
Well, unfortunately, I think that there's going to be a certain amount of lawfare that has to become a part of the tool belt of the right. It's distasteful to us. But, specifically with these social media platforms, because of the Communications Decency Act and Section 230, they sought protection from the government from being held, liable in certain instances, because they said we're not publishers, we're platforms who provide a free and open environment in which people can express a range of different opinions. Now they're trying to have it the other way. They're trying to say, no, we can act as publishers, we can determine what kind of opinions we want stated on our networks. If you take the Alex Jones example, I'm not a big fan of Alex Jones. I assume maybe that we share some of those feelings. But with Alex Jones, our friend Andrew Clavin asked me, what should Alex Jones do, or what would you do if you were Alex Jones? Well, I think the first thing that I would do is bring suit against Facebook for all the libelous things that were said about me on their platform after they removed me. Why? Because they either are publishers or they are a platform. If they're a platform, then they have to play according to the rules that Congress has afforded them, which give you and I just as much an opportunity, and even Alex Jones just as much an opportunity to make use of their platform as anyone else. And if they're a publisher, well, then they actually have some legal liability for the things that they allow to be said about people like Alex Jones or you or I or anyone else.
So, Jeremy, what are you, when you hear people talk about being deplatformed, and then you hear people like Rush Limbaugh talk about making Facebook or Google a public entity or a utility, that scares the hell out of me, because we don't ever, conservatives never get control of the utilities. That's a progressive idea, not conservative. So when you
it's a tempting thought, but I believe a misguided one.
So when you say a minute ago that we have to have some laws being brought in, what do you mean?
I don't mean laws as in government control of the platforms, which I think is an enormous mistake. As you say, for one thing, the right never gets control of the things that the government controls.
Right.
And on another level, there's a moral issue. It is the job of government to enforce law. It is the nature of companies or individuals to sometimes test the boundaries of law. But both sides don't get to test the boundaries of law. The government is the only entity that can take away your life and your freedom, separate you from your family or your property. They have to play by a different set of rules. So, of course, I'm against them seizing power. I think that it's an overreach. I think what we need to do is not create laws to regulate Facebook. It's use lawsuits to test whether or not Facebook is going to be required to operate within the legal protections that they have sought, or that Google has sought, or that Twitter has sought. That's where the Communications Decency Act comes in.
Why isn't anybody talking about that? Why isn't anyone talking about those legal protections? I've mentioned it several times. You've mentioned it. But I don't hear this in mainstream. They sought protection, and now they're saying, okay, well, yeah, but we are doing that, that we told you we weren't going to do. We are doing it now.